The African continent is currently defined by two seismic shifts, a resurgence of military coups across the Sahel and a powerful digitally fueled wave of street protests across almost every region.
Mr. Speaker, sir!
This instability is a warning shot for every established government. Today, we are cutting through the noise to ask, inside the new age of African protest, how does this movement relate to Kenya? And should the government under President William Ruto be worried? Is Kenya headed for the path of Senegal or the path of Burkina Faso? Welcome to Inside the Calling. The new age of African political struggle presents two main outcomes for countries facing systemic failure. Path A, the Burkina Faso way. This is a path of institutional collapse fueled by security failure and deep corruption. The military capitalizes on public disgust, overthrows the civilian government, and seizes power, often backed by public cheers of relief. This cycle often results in further instability and humanitarian crisis, as seen in the Sahel countries like Burkina Faso and Mali. Path B, the Senegal way. This is the path of democratic resistance and restoration. Here, mass citizen action, often led by youth and civil society, leverages a country's remaining constitutional and judicial checks to force political change through the ballot box. Senegal's recent election, where the ruling party's attempts to delay the vote were countered by widespread street protests and judicial intervention, ultimately leading to an opposition victory, is the ultimate example. It shows democracy can be saved from the inside. Now, both paths are driven by the same engine, the new age of African protest. Kenya, long considered a regional anchor of stability, has proven it is not immune. The movement against the recent finance bill was a watershed moment, showing that the power of protest is alive in Nairobi. This wasn't an elite-led opposition, it was a Gen Z uprising. Let's look at some other factors. Digital power. The movement was largely decentralized, organized through TikTok, Instagram, and X, making it nearly impossible for the government to suppress by targeting a single leader. Clear demand for accountability. Protesters were highly sophisticated, rejecting tax hikes while simultaneously calling out extravagant government expenditure. Their core demand was less about what they paid and more about who benefited and how their money was spent. A Nepal moment? In a way, this is Africa's version of Nepal's 2006 mass uprisings that ushered in a profound political restructuring. But in Kenya, the vehicle for change is social media and mass street action within a democratic framework. The sheer speed and scale of this mobilization, forcing significant concessions from the government, served as a stunning display of the new political muscle of Kenya's youth. Should President William Ruto's government worry? Yes, absolutely. But the danger is not a military coup. It's the electoral and political collapse of his government's legitimacy. Kenya currently stands at the crossroads between the Senegal and Burkina Faso paths. Now, the factors pushing towards the Senegal path. Strong institutions. Kenya has a robust independent judiciary that has a history of checking executive power, including annulling a presidential election. This is a critical firewall against total institutional failure.
Will as many as of that opinion say aye?
Vibrant civil society. The speed with which civil society groups, lawyers, and human rights bodies mobilized is a sign of a strong democratic culture capable of mounting resistance. Factors pushing towards the Burkina Faso path. The trust deficit. The most potent risk factor is a perceived distance between the ruling elite and the citizens, fueled by high-level corruption and austerity measures. This is the exact condition that gave legitimacy to the coups in the Sahel.
Justice!
Security overreach. The violent and deadly response by police to the protest risks alienating the youth entirely, driving them toward extra-constitutional or radical action. The failure to hold officers accountable for past abuses further erodes the rule of law. Now, the Ruto administration's current trajectory must prioritize economic delivery and visible accountability to the youth. If the cost of living crisis continues and corruption is seen to thrive, the path shifts dangerously towards the institutional failure seen in the Sahel even without a coup. The choice for Kenya is clear. Will it emulate Senegal's success, where the people's will and constitutional checks ultimately restored faith in democracy? Or will it slide towards the military instability path of Burkina Faso by allowing democratic institutions and the rule of law to be hollowed out? For President Ruto and his administration, the way forward is not suppression, it is engagement, fiscal transparency, and decisive action against corruption. The new age of African protest has arrived, and it will not be ignored. This generation is demanding a genuine social contract, not just a promise. What do you think is the single most important lesson the Kenya government should take from the political paths of Senegal and Burkina Faso? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Inside the Calling for more deep dives into the world's most critical issues. We'll see you next time. This is Inside the Calling.